Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are joining me from today. How are we all doing? How is everyone doing? How has your week been so far? I know it's just Tuesday, but I'm sure a lot has happened with you. Please do share with me once you join the live. Let me know that Okay, just had to quickly check. Let me know how your week is going. Mine is going quite well, surprisingly. Yeah, because I have not just had, I have quite a lot to do this week. I have a lot of preparations to do for some seminars, teachings, and I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do all this, but so far, so good. So my week is going quite well. My week is going quite well. So how is your own week going? How is your day going? Do let me know once you join me. This is Growth Habits with Ngozi, and remember that I am your personal guide on the journey of growth. And I will remain your personal guide on this journey of growth. I am going nowhere. I am here for the long haul. So, how are you? How are you really? What's going on with you? How is your journey of growth going? How is your own journey of growth going? Is everything okay? Is everything moving on as it should? We are approaching the end of the year. This is the time where most of us begin to plan for the next year, for 2025. So have you started your 2025 plans? If you have not, please go ahead and start. There is no need putting it off. The later you keep it off, the more difficult it becomes. And then you find out that you start off your year with, a lot of confusion, a lot of uncertainties. So if you have not begun your 2024, 25, I hope I've not been saying 2024 this well. If you have not started your 2025 plan, please go ahead. And that is also partly why I chose to discuss change management this last few sessions in the month, because as you're planning for your 2025, you need to factor in change into it. You need to ensure that in your plans, there is provision for things to change, because things will always change. We don't know what will change. That is the key thing. You don't know what exactly will change, but something will definitely change. So you must prepare for it. You must make room for that change. That is why I chose to talk about change management in this last few sessions of the year. We started this last week, right? I believe so. We started this last week. Yes, by just doing a general introduction of change. What is change management? What is it all about? And today we are going to talk about the types of change. Remember that I will be looking at it both from the corporate side and the individual side, because it's not just individuals that are planning for the year. It's everybody. Individuals are planning for change that could take place in their lives. So are corporations. And this is generally the time you should do it. Some are already done with their 2025 plans. Know that for a fact. But some are still working on it. So, Edobo Tekere, thank you for joining me, my professional colleague. I'm so glad you're here this afternoon. All right, so that just gives us an idea of what we are doing. And just to also help us in this 2025 planning and preparations, I have my boot camp coming up. I'll put up the details much later, but I have a boot camp coming up. And is a leadership boot camp, the emergent leader. It's basically targeted at those who are just getting into leadership. Maybe, you did not expect that promotion. You did not expect that this is, some kind of leadership position was going to come your way, but here you are. and you're in leadership position, or you're newly, you've been in leadership but not for too long. So you're still struggling with one or two things. You're still trying to wrap your head around one or two aspects of leadership. So our Emergent Leadership Boot Camp is coming up from the 12th to the 14th of December. Now, I decided to make this free. Ordinarily, this is a six-figure program because I intend to give out quite a lot of information. But on second thought, I decided to make this first one free. Subsequent ones will be paid programs. So the Emergent Leadership Bootcamp is coming up from the 12th to the 14th of December. And the theme is empowering the unprepared. Yeah. How many of us are really prepared when leadership is thrust upon us? Very few people. Most of us are like, what do I do? How do I get, into this? What is happening to me? Suddenly you're feeling unprepared. Suddenly you're struggling with aspects of leadership. So if that is you, that boot camp is for you. I will put up the link once again for you to register. There is a link to register on a Google form. Then once you register, at the end, once you submit your form, there should be a pop-up that shows you a WhatsApp group to join. That group is where most of the information concerning this bootcamp will be passed across to you. So once you fill the form, ensure that you also click on that WhatsApp link and join the group. But if for any reason you're having any issues with that, I will always reach you because I would get your form. You can also send me a DM either on Facebook or WhatsApp telling me, oh, I filled the form. I was not able to join the WhatsApp group. So that is that. Like I said, that is coming up on the 12th, from the 12th to the 14th of December. Each session should be like max 2 hours so that we don't have information overload. So I will try my best to, compress all that I have to say to us in those 2 hours. But we're going to talk about basically understanding leadership in uncharted territory because, everything is new. Once you shift from follower to leader, everything is new. You might think, oh, I know this, I know that, but the dynamics change. We'll talk about the essential skills that you need as a new leader. We'll talk about how to build and lead high-performing teams. We'll talk about being able to lead people through change, through uncertainty, and we'll talk about how to ensure that you, as the leader, you are growing, you're developing yourself. Okay, so I just had to get that out there first and foremost so that I don't forget. Hopefully I'll remember again to mention it at the end. I will try and remember to put up the link in the comment section of this live session so that we can go ahead and join that boot camp. Okay, so this is session 84 of Growth Habits, and we are going to be talking about types of change. You might be like, change, does it have types too? Yes, there are types of change. There are types. There are types of change. And we started this whole series last week with an introduction to change management. And we said that change management is a structured approach to help individuals, to help teams, to help organizations transit from the current state they are to a desired future state. That is what managing change is all about. Being able to move from here to here, point A to point B, and letting that movement be structured, and letting that movement be something that is planned for as much as possible. We know, yes, we can't always predict change, but we can plan for change so that when it happens, we are not taken completely by surprise. We are not confused by the change, because a lot of times change does come with a level of chaos because a lot of things are changing. So we do need to prepare ourselves, so that when that change comes, we're ready for it. We're ready for it. It involves, excuse me, yeah. It involves preparing, guiding, supporting people through the process so that, yes, there will be some upheaval, definitely, because change is happening, but it will be managed so that the level of issues that pop up or challenges that pop up can be managed. Okay. It involves being adaptable, honestly. If you're not somebody that's very agile and adaptable, change will take you by surprise and change can bring you down. All right, so that was what we talked about in our first session on this change management essentials. And today we said we are going to talk about the types of change. Because there are various types of change that happen. Each of these types of change has implications. They are not just there, change happened, and that is it. There are implications to the different types of change that you can encounter. And by understanding both the type and the implications of those changes, you can better prepare for the change. We can never really be 100% ready for any change, simply because change most times does not give notice. Most times it does not give notice. There are a few changes that, yes, you will have notice. I'm changing house. You cannot change house suddenly. You will prepare to change house. Unless something happens, of course, you can change house suddenly. Now that I'm thinking about it, your house is gutted by fire or something, or you're renting and your landlord suddenly tells you to pack. That's sudden change. But generally, when you want to do something like change house, you plan for it generally. Okay, but when we don't understand the different types of change and the implications of those types of change, when we encounter it, we'll not know how to handle it. We will not know how to manage it. We will not know how to, walk through it, walk through the process of that change. So that is why it's essential to understand the types of change and the implications. Mrs. Regina Obiago, my mom, welcome. Thank you for joining me this afternoon. So let's dive right into today's discussion. Once again, change is constant. It is the one thing that will always happen. We have said it, but change takes different forms. There is no one way that things change. Different forms, both on the personal level, organizational level, change takes different forms. But there are generally four categories of change. Yeah, therefore, I just want to quickly remember there are four categories of change, and we're going to look at those four categories of change, both at a corporate level and at a personal level. Now, these general categories of change are strategic change, structural change, technological change, and cultural change. So these are the four basic general categorizations of change. And each one has their unique implications. Each one has their unique implications, and you need to understand what are those implications so that you can manage that type of change when it shows up. It does not mean that these four types of change will show up all at once. It might not. Sometimes they do, but it could be just one. It could be one or two. But when you understand it and understand the implications, you can manage it better. This is what we are emphasizing on this period, the ability to manage the change that will come. Okay, so I start with strategic change. Now, generally, strategic change is change that relates to decisions that have to do with either your personal or your corporate goals or your values, your life direction, where you want your business to be in the coming year, in the coming 2 years. This is generally what we talk about when we talk about strategic change. That change that involves a shift either in your goals, the direction you want to go, the purpose for which either you set up your business or the purpose of your life. This is a strategic change because it affects, I'm trying to think of how to put it. It affects your vision or your larger purpose. Any change that affects the overall vision of an organization is a strategic change. Any change that affects the overall vision for your life is a strategic change. Is not to be trifled with because it has long-term effects. It has long-term implications. It can bring about long-term issues, long-term challenges. So it's something that you need to look at strategically too. It's something you need to consider and be prepared for. Some job changes are strategic changes. If I'm changing, if I'm, let me even say, if I remain on the same level in my job change, sometimes it's not strategic because nothing really changes in your vision, nothing really changes in your purpose. You are still doing the same thing, just at a different organization. We understand that. But if you're changing from being an accountant to being maybe a HR professional, now this is a complete change of direction. This is a strategic change. It's a complete change of direction. It's a complete change of life purpose. That I pivoted or changed from, it's not as if I've stopped being an accountant, get me right, but I kind of, shifted from accounting more into this mentoring, coaching aspect. That was a strategic life change because it affected the very purpose of my life. It affected the very essence of my life. It affected the very life direction. It affected it. So that was a strategic change. And I'm even thinking now whether I actually prepared properly for that change. As I'm talking, I'm thinking, did I really prepare for that change? Did I really plan for it? But I think I handled it well. Whether I prepared for it, I did not because it kind of came upon me kind of suddenly. It's not as if I did not know that the desire to do this type of thing had been there, but I didn't really plan to make that switch. I didn't, but it came. And because I've generally understood that change will always happen, and because I've generally had the mindset that when change comes, it has to be planned for to an extent, because I've always prepared myself for things will always change. When that change came, it wasn't such a great big deal. Let me use that expression. So when you do prepare and plan for change, whatever the change is that comes, you are more ready for it. So a strategic change, as I said, is a change that affects your long-term life goals, your long-term objectives as a corporation, that affects your the very direction that your business, your company is going, the very direction that your life is going. These are the ones that are strategic changes. Coach Ife, welcome. I'm glad you joined me this afternoon. So what are the implications? We're talking about different types of change and their implications and being able to navigate this change because you understand it and because you understand the implications. So what are some of the yes, Coach Chief, because also my mindset is open to change. When change comes, I am not overwhelmed by it. So what are some of the implications of a strategic change? Well, for example, for a company, maybe you're expanding into international markets or something, or okay, let's assume you're a business that's been working on running in Port Harcourt, and you now even want to expand to Lagos, to Abuja, to Aba, to Enugu, anywhere. You're adding a new dimension to your business. You want to begin to supply international customers. This is a strategic change because it definitely affects the very direction your business is going. It definitely affects the very purpose. Initially, your purpose was just to attend to that your small clientele, within your reach. But now you're expanding it. It's going to affect a lot of things in your business. It will affect a lot of things because it's going to require you to rethink a lot of your business goals. It's going to require you to consider restructuring your business, because if it took only you and maybe one other person to handle your local business when it was just local, when I mean local, I mean your locality, not local as the way we think of it in Nigeria, something is local. No, but your locality was all that was your focus. Now that you need to begin to, or you're planning to introduce Lagos, Abuja, international clients, it will change the very structure of your business, because probably two people will no longer be enough. You have to begin to think of logistics. You have to begin to think of, such things. How do I get these products to the people who are in other places? Is even more of a big deal if you're actually wanting to establish a physical presence in those places. So you can see that this is a strategic change because it affects the very core of your business. It will affect the business structure. It will need you to rebrand. It will need you to consider resources. It will need you to maybe consider employing more people, and even to have to set up proper systems if you did not have them for your business. So you can say that this is an example of a strategic change. And most strategic changes lead to uncertainty, because that new place you're going, for example, you don't know. You really don't know what the market is like. Yes, you've done your research, you got an idea, but you can't say for sure. You don't know what this new expansion will do to your business. You can't know, but you can prepare yourself for it. So most strategic changes, they lead to uncertainty. They lead to resistance. If for example, you already have like some employees, they will resist this change because one, it would mean probably more work for them, and nobody wants more work. Nobody. I don't know the person. I don't know the person that wants more work. So it might need, in fact, it will come with a lot of uncertainty, and you would need to get the buy-in of all affected stakeholders. You would need to. If you don't get the buy-in of the affected stakeholders, the possibility of that change happening smoothly without incidents is low. Okay, that is for an organization. For on a personal level, you're changing career path. The example I gave, you've been an accountant all these years, you want to go into HR. This is a complete change in direction. And you even want to go back to school is a strategic change, because it is affecting the very purpose of your life. The very direction of your life is being affected. And some of the implications of this kind of changes. One, of course, it will require you to change focus. It will require you to manage your time differently because you're coming to a place that you're probably learning things new if you're changing careers. You're learning a lot of new things. It will require proper management of time. It will require you to sit down and prioritize your efforts and know what must be done and what can be, either left for later and all that. It is essential because it needs you to, okay, let's assume you're going back to school. You need to go from work mode to school mode. They are not the same. They are not the same. The mindset you need to be in school is quite different from the mindset you need to work. So these are some of the implications because it will really need you to do some serious shift in focus. It will need you to do some proper management of your time. It will need you to prioritize some efforts because you will definitely learn new skills if you're changing career path or if you're going back to school, for sure. Or even you're about to start a business as an individual. This will require new set of skills. It will require you to begin to network if you were never networking. It might even require you to find a mentor. So you see that this is a real change in direction of life. And if not handled properly, it can lead to, failure. That one is one. It can lead to you not making a success of that change that you want to, embark on, that new career path, that new going back to school, that business you want to start. It can also make you, definitely, your resources will be affected by this. So it can make you be in a situation where you're either in debt or constantly struggling because you did not prepare for this change properly. You did not prepare for it properly. So it's essential to sit and set the goals of this new change that you want to embark on. What are you really trying to achieve? Why are you really doing it? If it is the one that you sat down to do, why are you going into business? Why are you changing career? Why are you going back to school? Sit down, set clear goals about this, do a proper plan around it so that you're not taken completely by surprise. So this is strategic goals, talking about strategic goals. What are some of the implications? What are some of the challenges you will meet in having, strategic change. See, I said strategic goal. Strategic change. These are some of the examples of what it is and some of the implications and why it's essential that you get a handle on it because it's such a change in the direction of your life, of your business or whatever. It is essential that you get a handle on it. So you must plan properly. It is essential. You have to plan properly because there's so much uncertainty involved in it, and the uncertainties affect major aspects of your life, of your business. You need to sit down and ensure that you've set clear goals and ensure that you have planned for this change. Otherwise, it becomes more difficult to manage it properly. I've seen people that, I want to go into business, and they jump right into starting a business. They did not sit down to consider the implications of starting a new business on their life, because this is a strategic change. It will change the trajectory of your life. It will change the direction your life is going. You have been a worker all your life. You have been 9 to 5. For you to go into business, you do need to sit down and consider, what does it mean for me that I'm going into business? How do I manage my time? Because when you move from 9 to 5 to going into business, 9 to 5, you can say, like I used to tell us, once I've closed, I've closed. Remember, I used to tell us those things. Once I've closed from work, it's only the hours. The most I can also give that business, maybe it's my hours on the way back home. But once I get home, I switch to house mode, family mode. But when you are the business owner, it becomes more difficult to do those switches. These are the things you need to sit down and consider. As an organization, you're expanding into international markets or to another location. What are the implications? This will take up more of your time, How do you manage it? This is going to require more resources. How do you manage it? What do you do to ensure that you're not overwhelmed by this strategic change? Okay, let me move on so that I can finish up all today. If I get stuck on one point, I might not finish up. So the next kind of change that we can undergo is what is called structural change. For a business, okay, structural change is just like an adjustment in maybe roles, processes, procedures within an organization. And on a personal level, maybe you're changing some habits, you want to start exercising. That is a structural change because you're changing some routines, you're changing some habits. You're changing your schedule in order to be more productive or something. That is a structural change. It's not a strategic change but a strategic change could give rise to a structural change. I hope we understand that. A strategic change would probably, almost 100% of the time, give rise to a structural change. You're changing from 9 to 5 to becoming a business owner. Now you have to change your routines. You have to change your habits. You have to change, some processes. You're going from being a business that's located only in Port Harcourt to a business that's located, whether physically or virtually, in Lagos, Abuja, everywhere. You definitely have to change some of your routines. Now, that is the structural change you need to make. The change in your routines, the change in your processes, or you got a promotion in the office from being accountant to chief accountant or something. That will require you. Now, that is not a strategic change because you're still within the accounting line. You have not moved away from accounting. We understand that. So that is a structural change. It will require a change in your processes. It will require a change in your routines, your habits. That is a structural change. And some of the implications, for example, you got the promotion. It's going to change, of course, who you report to. It changes your reporting line in the office. It changes your responsibilities in the office. And initially, there might be short-term confusion in it. But if you are someone that is already having the mindset of change, already prepared for change in your mind, you can navigate those initial confusions. You can navigate those initial adjustments. But if you don't have the mindset of change, if you are not prepared for change, they can become overwhelming. They can become overwhelming. I mean, because, sometimes as you change, as the people you report to change, so does their way of doing things. Everybody is not the same. How I would react as your boss is not how the next person would behave. So you have to begin to prepare to adjust to this new person's way of doing things and all that. So these are some of the implications of a structural change. It It could bring about some communication breakdowns, like in an organization, changing to a new boss or having a new boss and things like that. It could cause some communication breakdown. It could lead to some level of disorganization in the team as a whole. But if handled properly, these things can be well taken care of in advance. On a personal level, of course, you're changing some routines. Okay, I don't really know what is in my eye, but it's keeping me uncomfortable. It's keeping me uncomfortable. I've touched this eye how many times today? Okay, I was talking about structural changes. For you making some structural changes, that's changing habits, it's uncomfortable. Definitely. It's uncomfortable. Recently, I always go for a walk every morning, sometimes morning and evening. But recently I said, okay, let me maybe add a little cardio exercise or something, or strength exercise. Let me add a little something to the walking. And now this means a changing habit for me because I know what time I wake up so that I can go on those morning walks. So how do I now put in this habit I want to introduce, this structural change, this change in my activities I want to bring in, this change in my habits, this change in the things that I do, my routines? How do I do it? I had to sit down and tell myself, okay, it's either you wake up earlier, do the strength training or whatever additional exercise you want to do, and then go for your walk. Or you go for your walk, come back, and do the extra. Now, I didn't begin to, what happens to a lot of us is when we have to have a change in our routines and our habits, we begin to overthink it and then get stressed out and just, go down that, rabbit hole. But I did not do that. What I did, I kind of left my schedule flexible. The day I'm able to do it before going for the work, perfect, I do it. The day I'm not, then I know that once I come back from my work, I will do the extra strength training just to strengthen the muscles and, what have you. But once again, in my mind, I had prepared myself for this change. I'd known that, yes, it's going to involve some changes in my habits, and I was ready to, adapt. Very key and very important. Okay, the next change that I want to talk about is a technological change because the world we are living in is a world of technology. You can't really do much without technology. So a technological change generally involves adapting a new technology, updating an existing technology so that it's more efficient, so that it's more productive, like in an organization. It might mean adopting a new skill, a new tool on a personal level. AI is the thing now. Adapting to using AI to do a lot of things you were doing by yourself, or acquiring a new skill just to enhance your personal capabilities. This is a technological change. This one actually does not need too much talk because we know it. Okay, for a company introducing a new software. For example, GTB went into a new banking software. Is it Finacle? I think that's what they called it recently. And I'm beginning to question their change management process. GTB has changed software before. They have. This is not the first time that they're changing platforms. And they changed the platform almost effortlessly. Truly. I'm a GT customer, so I've been with them for years. I know when other people are struggling with technology, they basically don't. But this particular change was different. So, which tells me that they did not manage this change, this technological change properly. So they transitioned to a new platform. They informed us they were transitioning to that new platform as their customers, and they told us, maybe 2 days, 3 days, or something. I can't remember the number of days they would take to transition to that new platform, and then everything will be fine. But since they transitioned to that platform, everything has not been fine. This tells me, like I said, that they probably did not manage the process of change well. Is it that there's complications they didn't anticipate, or if they anticipated it, it was beyond what they anticipated, or there's just some things they didn't think about, they didn't consider, because this is how many, I think it's up to a month now down the line, and they're still struggling with that system, which is one, unlike GTB, and two, shows that they did not manage this change properly. They've always managed their changes better. Usually, when they change software, they tell you tomorrow they are up, tomorrow they are actually up. But this one has been difficult for them. So, this technological change, they did not manage it properly. So, maybe they need to look at their change management process. For you as an individual, okay, you need to upgrade your skill to, maybe some digital skills. You need to integrate some apps into your life. These are technological changes, and the aim is usually to maybe improve your efficiency, improve your productivity, give you access to new opportunities, maybe to make you even more competitive in the job market. You learn some skills. These are, usually why we would, as an individual, undertake some technological changes. But you know that in doing this, because new technology is generally not easy, I don't know the one that is easy. It might require some time, it might require some patience, it will require a willingness to learn. So if you don't have this and you embark on technological change, the tendency is that this is going to fall flat, the change. So it's essential, once again, that you don't feel overwhelmed by the fast pace. Prepare for it. Prepare for it. Know that to embark on a technological change will require some time, will require patience, will involve some anxiety, because it's something new. It's something new. So have that in mind from the beginning and let that be part of your change process. I want to believe that I'm still very much live, because it appears I can't even see. I can't see. Okay, yeah, it shows I'm still live. I had to ask. I had to check because there seems to be some kind of disconnect. I don't know if it's my network or what, but all right. So that is that technological change. All right. And the last type of change I want to talk about is cultural change. Now, this is basically like a change in values, a change in norms, change in behavior, um, a change in attitude. And these changes affect your behavior, change affect your relationships. This change in norms, this change in values affect your relationships. For an organization, maybe suddenly you want to be inclusive. You want to be more inclusive. This is a cultural change. You want to exercise diversity. That is a cultural change. You want to be more customer centric. That is a cultural change. You want to promote, or you want to be known as a brand that is innovative and is adaptable. That is a cultural change. You're changing the way, your norms, you're changing your values as an organization. That is a cultural change. For an individual, you want to develop a growth mindset. Good afternoon, Kelechi. Welcome. I'm glad you joined me. You're trying to develop a growth mindset. You're trying to live healthier, not just dieting and exercising, but to live healthier. So this involves a change in your, will I call it your norms? Yeah. It definitely will involve a change in your behavior for sure. Things like that. Or you decide, to become a Christian. That is definitely a cultural change because it will affect the way you behave. So that is a cultural change. And most times, cultural changes are meant to improve your well-being. They're meant to improve your relationships. They're meant to improve like your sense of purpose. That is the reason generally for a cultural change. So like for an organization, you want to maybe improve the feel of your organization. You want to change the this word is escaping me and I don't know why, but you just want to make sure that everyone in your organization is having the same thoughts, having the same understanding, your culture, the general culture of the organization. You want everyone to be on the same page. So, see, this kind of change usually is met with a lot of resistance, whether cultural, personal, a lot of resistance. Let's take, for example, a business that's, trying to practice being a more inclusive, which means you're going to employ different people of different status, people of different race, people of different gender, people. Maybe you want to bring in more women in your organization. You have a lot of men, like an engineering firm that is usually a male-centered, usually, I'm not saying only, a male-centered field, and you're trying to bring in more females. That is inclusivity. Generally, this is always met with a lot of resistance. Whatever you're trying to achieve is usually because the people who are there already don't want this. They don't want it. They don't want it. That's the truth. And part of what is going to make this change work is that you anticipated that they will not want this change. Yes. And you put it in your plan that people would resist. And what would you do when they resist? On a personal level, let's take the healthier lifestyle first of all. You want to have you want to live healthier. This is not necessarily about dieting and exercise, but the whole thing holistically. You will meet resistance because it now means you want to eat probably more vegetables. You want to cut off some carbs or something, or you want to reduce your intake of carbs. You will get resistance from yourself first and foremost, because your body will be the first resistor of that change. Your body will be the first resistor. Then from the people you're living with, because you now want to change their diets. They're not ready. Maybe they're not ready to go on this healthy lifestyle with you. You must take into consideration that these things will happen. This is what change management is all about. Is being able to prepare for that resistance that will probably come. Being able to prepare for all the possible implications of this change you want to embark on. It's very essential because, especially when we're talking about cultural changes, they take time. It's not like I want to change jobs and, I just begin to look for work in that area and maybe that one can take time, it can be short, whatever. But when we are talking about a cultural change, a change in your norms, a change in your values, a change in your behavior, it takes time. There is no fast tracking it. There really isn't, because it's not about that. I think that's why people crash and burn on diets, because they think is I'll stop eating sweets, and maybe for 1 week you stop it, 2 weeks you stop, 1 month you even try, and after that you get tired of it. So it is a change that is slow, and is a change that requires constant is it mind reset. A cultural change does not happen quickly. It takes time. It takes time. When I talked about becoming a Christian, because that's a cultural change, it's going to change your values, it's going to change the way you behave. It does not happen overnight. It's a process. It takes time. And it takes a lot of introspection, a lot of thinking, a lot of thoughts being put into it. You want to live a healthier life. It takes time, because you will not adjust to cutting off some sweets, for example, overnight. It doesn't happen overnight. You might do it for the short term quickly, but for it to be a sustained change, it takes time. And you have to put that into consideration and realize that this is what it takes. And you would probably have to need, some kind of support system in order to help you. Please just do it. Put these things in place so that this change can happen effortlessly. Okay. So let me just give us a few ideas, I want to call it now, ways that we can, quickly do these changes. For example, a strategic change. Let's assume you want to pursue a new career path or something. Now, to make this as effortless as possible, to manage this change process properly, you have to do your research first. Research that field you want to get into, then set goals and align your resources based on the research you have gotten, based on the new knowledge you have, based on the new information you have. You can now set your goals, align your resources properly. When you do this, you see that you come out with a real clear strategy, and you can transition smoother and easier. Let me see an example of a structural change. Okay, let me do a corporate one, because I did personal one on the strategic change. A company wants to merge two departments. Let me just say, I don't know. They want to merge two departments into one, because this will improve productivity, to improve collaboration, whatever is the reason. Now, definitely, in order to ensure that this happens as effortlessly as possible, there's going to be some new responsibilities. There's going to be some new roles. Let them be reassigned. Let them be done probably early. And let there be communication. There's going to be new reporting lines. For example, if you're merging two departments, there will be new reporting lines. There might even be some people that will no longer be needed. These things should be communicated early. They should be planned for. There should be a plan for how this merger is going to happen of these two departments, how the roles are going to be redefined and reassigned, how the reporting lines are changing and all that. This should be done ahead of time, and this should be communicated early enough, but not too early. because we're dealing with human beings here. So if you communicate too early, they might sabotage it. That's why I'm saying not too early, but they should be communicated. When you do this, you will find that when you communicate efficiently, when you prepare for all the reassignments, for all the changes that need to happen, you will see that the adjustment period and the effectiveness of the change over time is improved. Okay, a technological change now. Let's say as an individual, you need to maybe you need to start using budgeting apps or something in order to manage your expenses. This is a technological change because you're introducing some kind of technology to improve your process of doing something. In this case, your money management skills. So you want to have a budgeting app or something to manage your finances. Of course, you will research the app so that you know what is expected of you in using this app. This is one thing that I'm even thinking that sometimes I don't do it. I want to introduce one new app to use for my benefit personally, and I really don't do a full research of what does this really entail for me as I'm thinking about it. So we do need to do that initial research. What does the use of this new app really mean for me? Even for my phone, can my phone memory take it? Will it overload my phone memory? Things like that. And then set up the app. How do I set up this app? How do I input my expenses into it as I've set it up? How do I track the spend? These things, think them through. Don't just, this is everybody is doing budgeting app, you rush into it. No. Or for example, you want to begin to use AI in one way or the other maybe in your personal life, in your business. Don't just jump into it. Do that initial research and find out what it will truly take you and what are the implications for you to bring in this technological change. Very important to do. When you do that, of course, you gain better control of whatever you're trying to, work on at that time. We were talking about a budgeting app. You would definitely have better control over your finances if you have a budgeting app right on your phone. You don't have to now write down how you're spending. You quickly, as you're spending, you're putting it into the app. So it does give you, better control, makes you more organized, which is the aim of technology. But if it is not properly implemented, you could get the opposite result. Meremu Amos, thank you for joining me. I'm glad you're here this afternoon. Welcome. All right. And I think, cultural change. An example. Okay, let me go back to a corporate example. I think the technology, I gave the personal, individual example. For a company that's trying to be more inclusive, trying to be more inclusive, to embrace diversity as, where, which is the new thing that just about every corporation does, you must ensure that your current personnel, they are trained about it, they understand what it means, so that they are not threatened by it. A lot of our things we do, like inclusivity, when we're trying to bring about cultural change in an organizational setting, most times, or a lot of times, they don't do well because we did not get the buy-in of the current people. We did not get them involved in the whole process. We just threw one policy at them and expect them to just run with it. So get the buy-in of the people who are ready with you before you begin to bring in this new policy. Get them to understand it. so that when you're implementing it, it's not strange to them. It's not something that they're not well versed in. This makes the employees feel valued. It improves their morale, and because they have a buy-in in this thing you want to do, they will even champion it. So this you can see with these. Oh, time is even gone. You can see with these few examples, you can see the importance of understanding the type of change you're embarking on, understanding the implications of that change before you embark on the change. So these are things you do before even you embark on the change. You must understand the type and the implications, and then also the possible challenges that might arise because of this change I'm trying to introduce, so that you will tackle them better when they come because you have considered it. Okay. I think I should end here. I should end here today because our time is actually up. Yeah. So thank you for joining me this afternoon on Growth Habits. We talked about the types of change that can be expected in either an organization or in our personal lives. And we talked about strategic, structural, technological, and cultural change. And we looked at implications of some of these changes and some of the challenges that we might meet in trying to carry out these changes. And the important thing for us to know is that change is constant. Change will always happen. We don't know what type, we don't know when, but we know it will happen. So when we prepare for change, when we have the mindset that change will happen and we prepare ourselves for change, when it comes, it's easier for us to get over it. And also, when the change is a change that we are instituting, we must ensure that we plan for it properly, that we have all the resources we require, that we have the time that we require, but that we have all that is required to bring about that change. That is, if the change is one we are instituting, if the change is thrust on us, we must ensure that our mind is prepared to adapt. We have the mindset of change so that when that change comes, we can navigate it with ease. And we can navigate it also, coming out at the other side more productive and generally better. All right. Thank you once again for joining me this afternoon. I want to believe that we gained something. I want to believe that we enjoyed this session on types of change. Remember that we are looking at the change management process, basically the essentials of change management in this season as we prepare for our 2025, as we prepare our budgets, as we prepare our innovation boards, whatever process we use to get ready for the new year. We need to ensure that change is inculcated into that process. We need to ensure that we have a way to manage change as it happens in our personal lives, in our businesses, in our organizations. Thank you all so much. Yes, Kelechi, change is constant. It will always happen. We just don't know how, we don't know the type, we don't know when, but it will surely happen. Thank you all once again for joining me. Remember to follow us on all our social media handles: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Growth Habits with Ngozi. And of course, my personal Facebook page, my personal Instagram page, my personal LinkedIn page. Yes, follow me everywhere. Follow me everywhere. And share with your friends. Share this broadcast with your friends. Share the live sessions with your friends. Share the flyers, whatever thing I post, share with all your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to that our YouTube channel. Please, please, please subscribe and tell your friends about it. Thank you once again for joining me here. Every Tuesday afternoon, 12 noon is the time for Growth Habits with Ngozi. Yes, I mentioned at the beginning, let me mention it again in closing, that our leadership bootcamp is coming up from the 12th to the 14th of December. It's called the Emergent Leadership Bootcamp. The theme is empowering the unprepared. It's just to give some help and insight to those who are, suddenly thrust into a leadership role and they're feeling unprepared for it, or you have been struggling with leadership. You have been there for a while. You've been struggling with, the whole leadership, and you're looking for solution. You're looking for help. Then that boot camp is for you. Remember, it's from the 12th to the 14th of December. I chose to make this one free. The next one will definitely not be free. So there is a Google form for it. I will post that link for us once again on this live. I will post the link. Once you fill the form and you submit, it will give you a link to join a WhatsApp group. Please join that WhatsApp group. That is where you'll get every other information for the boot camp. Okay. I've just posted. Okay, I just posted the link for the boot camp. All right, so please ensure that you register for that boot camp. Tell everyone about it also, so that we will all be part of that boot camp and prepare for our 2025 much better. Be ready to smash all 2025 goals. Be ready to lead with vision, to lead. Okay, yes, the thing has shown up now, the comment. Be ready to lead this coming year effectively, efficiently, and otherwise. Thank you once again for joining me. And remember to make today and every day count. Be valuable and grow. Let that be your guiding principle. No day should go by that you're not valuable. No day should go by that you're not growing in one way or the other. All right. Thank you so much once again, and see you at the same time next week. Bye.